Good day everyone. So in today's video, I'll be going to discuss about the gurus of TQM and how they made a very significant impact to the world through their contributions. But first, let me ask, do you have any idea who are the gurus of TQM? If not, this video will help you out. Okay, so one of the gurus of TQM was Dr. Edwards Deming. He is best known for reminding management that most problems are systemic and that it is the management responsibility to improve the system so that workers can do their job more effectively. And for more than 50 years, Deming had taught us the quality and productivity improvement as he believed that higher quality leads to higher productivity and will result to less rework, fewer mistakes, fewer delays, and better use of time and materials. Okay, so as you can see on this mind map, contributions of Dr. Deming were shown. And as you can see, it has 4 interrelated parts, which are the system of the proper knowledge, the 14 points to quality improvement, the Deming rule, and the 7 deadly diseases. Okay, so let's have first the system of the proper knowledge. It is said to be one of the essential theories of Dr. Deming. And this knowledge system consists of 4 interrelated parts, which are the theory of optimization, the theory of variation, the theory of knowledge, and the theory of psychology. The reason why Dr. Deming believed that this theory of proper knowledge was so very important because it would help individuals to transform their organization, which would in turn improve the outcomes in quality improvement efforts. Of course, understanding and applying the 4 parts of Deming theory, he believes that it will gonna create a better leadership culture of the organization. So let's have first the theory of optimization. In this theory, management of a system in which companies deliver their products and services requires knowledge of the interrelationships between processes, sub-processes within the system, and everybody works and interacts with it. Deming stresses in this theory that the system must be stated by management. So without an aim, there is no system. Next is the theory of variation. So in this theory, it was Deming's philosophy which focuses on improving the product and service uncertainty and variability and design and manufacturing processes. Deming believed that variation is a major cause of poor quality. Common causes of this come from within the process as they generate outcomes that are different but not significantly different. Of course, this is very crucial for all the leaders to understand how to avoid mistaking common causes for special causes and vice versa. Moreover, sometimes inconsistencies in service frustrate customers and hurt the company's reputations. So, common causes are due to inherent design and structure of the system, and it's said to be that it is the management responsibility to reduce or eliminate the common causes. Next is the theory of knowledge. The third component of proper knowledge promotes learning as individuals and as an organization. Deming emphasized that knowledge is not possible without a theory, and experience alone does not establish a theory. Experience only describes, it cannot be tested or validated, and alone, there is no help for management. Theory, on the other hand, shows a cause and effect relationship that can be used for prediction. There is a lesson here for the widespread benchmarking practices. Copying only an example of success without understanding it in theory may not lead to success, but it could lead to a disaster. Okay, so for the last theory, we have the theory of psychology. As we all know, psychology helps to understand people, from interactions between people and circumstances, interactions between leaders and employees, and any system of the management. Consequently, managing people requires knowledge of psychology. Also required is knowledge of what motivates people. Job satisfaction and the motivation to excel are very intrinsic. Reward and recognition are intrinsic. So management needs to create the right mix of intrinsic factors to motivate the employees. Okay, so for the next slide, we have the Deming wheel, which is said to be the repetitive 4-stage model for continuous improvement in business process management. So, the total quality management processes are often divided into 4 sequential categories, which is the plan, do, check, and act. So, in plan, in this stage, it is where we define the problem to be addressed, collect relevant data, and ascertain the problem's root cause. While in the do stage, it is the stage where we develop and implement a solution, decide upon a measurement to gauge its effectiveness. Next, in check, it is the stage where we confirm the results through the before and after data comparison. And for the last stage, we have the act. It is the stage where we document the result, inform others about the processes, changes, and make recommendations for the problem to be addressed in the next cycle. And also, we have the 7 deadly diseases, which are the lack of constancy of purpose, the emphasis on short-term profits, the evaluation by performance merit rating or annual review of performance, mobility of management, running a company on visible figures alone, excessive medical costs, and of course, excessive cost of warranty fueled by lawyers who work for contingency fees. So for the lack of the constancy of purpose, as long as the focus is on short-term thinking, management will fail to plan adequately. Without good long-term planning, worker efforts will be irrelevant, so the total quality management cannot be fed, as long-term forward progress should always be the ultimate goal for any organization. The constancy of purpose. In the 14 points of Deming, it is one of the essential points to stay in business. Its absence spells doom for a company, so without constancy of purpose, management does not think then the next quarter and has no long-range plans for staying in the business. Okay, so next is the emphasis on short-term profits. In today's organizations, it is often more controlled by financial people who manipulate figures but do not make any substantial changes to production and quality. They are driven by what they argue are the needs of the shareholders. Of course, the shareholders who depends on dividends for income need to be assured that their company will still be in existence and still be producing dividends some years. It is common for companies to ship products or take other actions, of course, on the last day of the month, without regard to quality, merely to inflate the figures. The short-term thinking, the opposite of the constancy of purpose. In order to stay in business fed by fear of the push from the bankers and owners of poor dividends, of course, boosting short-term profits is easier. And it typically involves the cutting of any expense related to the long-term training, like training, quality assurance, management, maintenance, of course, and others. This is the evaluation by performance, merit rating, or annual review of performance. Management by objective. Is it on a go or no-go basis? So for me, without a method for accomplishment of the objective is the same thing as the management by fear. The central problem with merit systems is that they reward results rather than process improvement results. Will almost always have a lot of system block mixing. Some managers want to reward people who cooperate more, who seem to have better attitudes, and will insist that they can recognize the people who are the most cooperative and that have the highest work ethic. Instead, managers should understand that the best way to develop cooperation is by focusing on the nature of the work environment, not on monetary rewards. As I have read, according to Dr. Deming, a great achievement of man was is achieved without no competition. Because I've been experienced working in a company wherein there are some instances that our supervisors are biased, and it actually give us the pressure. Because before I was in a BPO company wherein I'm selling gadgets. So their focus is more on annual review, performance, and merit. And yes, it is more important to focus more on improving your people. Because sometimes in an organization or in a workplace, there are people who are high performer and low performer. So it is more important that we should not have the evaluation on merit rating or annual review performance, but you should focus on improving your people. Next is the mobility of management. The simplest and yet one of the deadliest of the quality system management diseases, management mobility. It actually means continuous improvement efforts will be broken and disjointed as new leaders come on board. With changes in leadership, there is a change in management philosophy. Managers who have an eye on the next promotion wants results, now to gain the next round on the ladder. Next is the running a company on visible figures alone. Of course, one cannot be successful on visible figures alone. Now, of course, visible figures are important. There is payroll to meet, vendors to pay, taxes to pay, like the amortization, pension funds, and contingency funds to meet. But that would run his company on visible figures only will in time have neither company nor figures. Today, visible figures are important. A company would not survive if it ignored figures such as taxes and trade payables that need to be paid at. So Dr. Deming disagrees that this figure should be the sole guide of a company's action, however, stating that figures that are not visible are more important. Even though these figures are unknown on the business, he believes that a successful manager will do their best to improve the organization. Okay, so the excessive medical costs. Of course, for the economy as a whole, healthcare as a percentage of overall expenditures has steadily risen for decades, which gradually pushes numerous businesses into a state of crisis. Potentially, the only remedy for this disease would be a political system attempting to reform healthcare. For the excessive cost of warranty fueled by lawyers who work for contingency fees, well, according to Dr. Deming, lawyers are part of the problem, but it was not part of the solution. And last, we have the 14 points, the Deming's 14 points to quality improvement. The first one is create constancy of purpose and continual improvement. Earlier, we are talking about the importance of constancy on the business. So for the company that wants to stay in business, the two general types of problems that exist are the problems of today and the problems of tomorrow. It is easy to become wrapped up with the problems of today, but the problems of the future demand. First and foremost, constancy of purpose and dedication to keep the company alive. Decisions need to be made to cultivate innovation, fund research and education, and improve the product design and service. Remembering that the customer is the most important part of the production line. And it is very important to strive for constant improvement regarding on the products and services, with the aim of becoming competitive and ensuring consistency in the way business is done, which will ensure retention of employment. Do not just make adjustment at the end of the production process, but evaluate if improvement are necessary during the process and get started immediately. So do not leave with the mistakes and defects can no longer be tolerated. So people must receive effective training so that they understand their job and also understand that they should not be afraid to ask assistance when it is needed. Supervision must be adequate and effective. Management must be rooted in the company and must not job hop between positions within the company. So, a new time offers new chances and new challenges. Management must take responsibility for being open to such changes. So, without a change, a company cannot sustain itself in a time when innovation occurs every day. Okay, so next is cease dependence on mass inspection to quality. Inspection is too late, ineffective, and costly. It is too late to react to the quality of a product when the product is done. Quality comes not from inspection but from improving the production process. Of course, corrective actions are not inspections, scrap, downgrading, and rework for the process. And the dependence on inspections and final checks to ensure the quality. Because it is better to that quality checks takes place during the process so that improvements can be made earlier. And the practice of awarding business on the basis of price tag. According to Dr. Edwards Deming, price has no meaning without a measure to quality being purchased. An example is the practice of purchasing suppliers or services from the lowest bidder without careful attention to specifications. This practice can only increase costs elsewhere. On the other hand, when quality becomes the central focus, the practice of buying the lowest bidder is often abandoned. So continual improvement to a system can only be accomplished if the suppliers are able to deliver at a predictable and continuously improving level of quality. Therefore, companies should use a single supplier for any one item on a long-term relationship of loyalty and trust. Deming thus acknowledge that it is not always practical to use a single supplier. However, he insists that the customer company work closely with suppliers in order to convey their needs effectively and to help the vendor to improve the quality of its goods while reducing overall cost to the buyer. Moreover, companies that wants to move to just-in-time inventory control procedures as a way to hold own cost, to hold down cost, have no choice but to adopt their suppliers' device. Next is the improve constantly and forever the system of production services to improve the quality and productivity and thus constantly decrease the cost. And of course, there is a need for constant improvement in test methods and for a better understanding of how customer uses and misuses a certain product. Improve constantly and forever. So, continuous process improvement of production and service results in improved quality and productivity, which in turn leads to cost reduction. This part also relates to the first and third points, which is improved quality leads to less waste of other raw materials, which is subsequently has a cost-effective effect. Next is the institute leadership. Supervision by management is in need of overhaul, as well as supervision of production workers. Management should lead, not supervise. Leaders must not know that they supervise. They must be empowered and directed to communicate and act on conditions that need correction. Next is the drive out fear, so that people may work very effectively for the company. So no one can give his best performance unless he feels secure. Employees should not be afraid to express their ideas or ask questions because fear can take many forms, resulting in impaired performance and padded figures. Industries should embrace new knowledge because it can yield better performance and should not fearful of this knowledge because it could disclose some of their failings. Fear of paralyzing. Therefore, fear must be eliminated on the workforce so that everyone can work very effectively for the company. They can feel safe and take risks. Transparent communication, motivation, respect, and interest in each other and each other's work can actually contribute to this. So next is the break down barriers between departments. So by eliminating the boundaries between departments, cooperation can be better and different expert teams will understand each other better. This can be done by, for example, the creation of multifunctional teams, each with an equal share and open to each other's ideas. Okay, so next is the eliminate slogans, exhortations, and targets for the workforce, asking for zero defects and new levels of productivity. Remove stimulating slogans for the workplace, such as slogans, warnings, and exhortations are perceived as being patronizing because quality and production problems do not arise from the individual employee but from the system itself. Moreover, such exhortations only create adversary relationships as the bulk of the causes of low quality and low productivity belongs to the system and thus lies beyond the power of workforce. So exhortations, poster, targets, and slogans are directed at the wrong people, causing general frustrations and resentment. So posters and charts do not consider the fact that the most trouble comes from the basic process. But management needs to learn that its main responsibility should be to improve the process and remove any special causes for defects found by statistical methods. So goals need to be set by individual for the individual, but numerical goals set for another people without a roadmap to reach the objective also have an opposite effect. Eliminate numerical quotas. So never-ending improvement is incompatible with the quota. So work standards, incentive pay, rates, and piecework are manifestations of the management lack of understanding, which leads to inappropriate supervision. Pride of workmanship needs to be encouraged here, while the quota system needs to be eliminated. Whenever work standards are replaced with leadership, force quality and productivity increase substantially, and people are happier on their jobs. So no more focus on achieving certain margins that impedes professionals from performing their work well and taking the necessary time for it. Because rushing through the work can actually produce errors, the production errors. So managers should therefore focus on quality rather than quantity. Next is the removing of barriers to worker satisfaction. So in here, it is very important to let employees to be proud of their craftsmanship and expertise again. This actually relates back to the 11th point, which is employees need to feel more satisfaction when they get a chance to execute their work well and professionally without the feeling of the pressure of deadlines. Okay, so next is the institute a vigorous program of education and self-improvement. Integrate and promote training, self-development, and improvement for each employee. This directly connects to the 6th point. By encouraging employees to work for themselves to see their studies and training as a self-evident part of their jobs, they are able to elevate themselves at a higher level. Okay, so last is the putting everybody in the company to work to accomplish the transformation. Transformation is the work of everyone. Set forth concrete actions to implement and realize transformation and change throughout the organization. Okay, now let's move on to the second guru of TQM, who is Dr. Philip B. Crosby. Dr. Philip B. Crosby was also a legend in the discipline of quality, just like Dr. Demings. He is also one of the major contributors to the quality movement, but he is widely recognized for promoting the concept of zero defects and for defining that quality as conformance to requirements. So on the quality thesis, Crosby devised the principle of doing it right the first time. He included here the 4 major principles. The first one is the definition of quality is the conformance to product and customers' requirements. Second is the prevention is the system of quality. Third is the zero defects should be the performance standards. And fourth, quality measurements is the price of non-conformance. These 4 major principles, it was explained by Dr. Demings that quality must be viewed as conformance to specification. So if a product explained that quality should be achieved through the prevention of defects rather than inspection after the production process is complete. So it is prevention, not an appraisal. Next, according to Crosby, the traditional quality control approach taken by American firms is not cost-effective. Instead, production workers should be granted the authority and responsibility to ensure that the quality goods and services are produced at every step of the process. And managers need to demonstrate that a higher standard performance can lead to perfection, which is to zero defects. And Crosby believed that the company goal should be zero defects. Then, the last one, quality measurement is the price of non-conformance. So, quality should be measured by the price of non-conformity. As Crosby contends that the cost associated with achieving quality should be a part of company's financial system. Okay, so the next contribution of Dr. Philip Crosby is the quality management maturity grid, where he sees this grid as a first step in moving an organization towards the quality management. The grid is a simple 5x6 matrix that shows different stages of a company's journey towards quality management maturity within 6 different categories. And this includes management understanding of quality, problem handling, and the cost of quality. So the lowest stage of maturity is called uncertainty, where an organization is inexperienced. Quality management is a low priority and delivered reactively. But as quality management matures, it goes through the various stages of awakening, enlightenment, wisdom, until it achieves the highest level, which is the certainty. So, in simple words, uncertainty being the lowest, and certainty being the highest level. Okay, so lastly, one of the major contributions of Dr. Philip Crosby is the 14 steps to quality improvement. The first one is the management commitment, wherein there is a need for quality improvement and it must be recognized and adopted by management, with an emphasis on the need for defect prevention. So quality improvement is equated with profit improvement, and a quality policy is needed which states that each individual is expected to perform exactly like the requirement or the cost requirement to be officially changed to what we and the customer really need. Next is the quality improvement team, wherein representatives from each department or function should be brought together to form a quality improvement team. This should be people who have sufficient authority to commit the area they represent to action. Third is the quality measurement. The status of the quality should be determined throughout the company. This means establishing quality measures for each area of activity that are recorded to show where improvement is possible and where corrective action is necessary. Crosby advocates delegation of this task to the people who actually do the job, so setting the stage for defect prevention on the job where it really counts. Fourth is the cost of quality evaluation. Of course, the cost of quality is not an absolute performance measurement, but an indication of for the action necessary to correct a defect will result in a greater profitability. Okay, so for the fifth step, which is the quality awareness, where it involves through training and the provision of visible evidence of concern for quality improvement, making employees aware of the cost to the company of defects. Next is the corrective action, wherein discussion about problems will bring solutions to light and also raise other elements for improvement. People need to see that problems are being resolved on a regular basis, so corrective action should then become a habit to an organization, because there will be at times that the organization or the company, different businesses will encounter some obstacles, so there will always be a corrective action for that. Okay, so next is establish an ad hoc committee for the Zero Defects program. Zero Defects is not a motivation program. Its purpose is to communicate and instill the notion that everyone should do things right the first time. Okay, so the next step is the goal setting. So it is a must that each supervisor gets his or her people to establish specific and measurable goals cost removal. It is where employees are asked to describe on a simple one-page form any problems that prevent them from carrying out error-free work. Problems should be acknowledged to which the problem is addressed. This actually constitutes a key step in building up trust, as people will begin to grow more confident that their problems will be addressed and dealt with. So in here, it is very important to address the problems of their workers, to address the problems or the different barriers that prevent your workers in performing well to the organization. So the next step is the recognition. It is important to recognize those who meet their goals or perform outstanding acts with a prize or award. Although this should not be a financial form, the act of recognition is what is important. So for the last step, which is do it over again, it is the step wherein during the course of a typical program lasting from 12 to 18 months, turnover and change will dissipate much of the educational process. It is important to set up a new team of representatives and begin the program over again, starting with zero defects day. This starting over again helps the quality to become ingrained in the organization. Okay, so that is the end of my presentation. Thank you all for listening.